A new day dawns, and our protagonist, a solitary man, begins his daily routine. The humdrum rhythm of life beats quietly in the depths of the woods where he resides. Like clockwork, the kettle whistles, and the scent of freshly brewed coffee fills the air. He takes a moment to savor the aroma, a small comfort in his lonely existence. His loyal companion, a sturdy dog with eyes full of trust, waits patiently for his breakfast. The clatter of kibble hitting the bowl echoes through the silence, a sound both familiar and comforting. Their bond is palpable, a beacon of companionship in the vast wilderness. The day passes in a blur of mundane tasks, the man finding solace in the simplicity of his routine. Yet the quietness of his surroundings, usually a source of peace, begins to feel eerie, unsettling. As the day comes to a close, the man and his dog retreat to the safety of their home, oblivious to the horrors that await them. The next morning, the man sets out for his usual walk in the woods, but finds something out of the ordinary. The forest, usually a place of peace and tranquility, seems to have taken on a more sinister tone. The air is thick with a sense of unease, the silence broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves and the distant hooting of an owl. As he ventures deeper, he stumbles upon a series of strange footprints imprinted on the muddy forest floor. They are unlike anything he's ever seen, not those of any known animal and certainly not human. The footprints are large, with elongated toes and a strange, claw-like formation at the ends. The sight of these tracks fills him with a feeling of dread, but curiosity compels him to follow the trail. As he walks, he can't shake off the feeling of being watched. It's as though 1,000 eyes are following his every move, hidden amongst the dense foliage. Then he hears it, a sound that sends chills down his spine. A low growl, followed by a guttural hissing sound, resonating from the depths of the woods. It's an alien sound, nothing like the usual bird calls or animal noises he's accustomed to. His heart pounds in his chest as he quickens his pace, the sense of dread growing with each step. The footprints lead to a small clearing where the remnants of what appears to be an animal carcass lay. The sight is gruesome. The creature has been torn apart, its flesh ravaged with an animalistic ferocity that suggests a predator of immense strength and brutality. The unsettling discoveries send a wave of terror through him. Something is very wrong in these woods, something he cannot comprehend. The man, once at peace in this forest, now feels like a trespasser in a realm of unseen horrors. With a shiver running down his spine, the man hurries home, his dog trailing behind him, equally disturbed. The woods, once a sanctuary, have now become a place of unspeakable terror. As night falls, the man's fear grows. A sense of impending doom hangs in the air. The once comforting solitude of the woods now feels menacing as the shadows grow longer and the silence deepens. It's as if the forest itself is holding its breath, anticipating the horrors that the dark veil of night might bring. The man's mind is a whirlpool of paranoia. Every creak of the cabin, every gust of wind against the window, every rustling leaf outside seems to echo an unknown dread. His senses are heightened, his heart pounds in his chest like a drum, echoing the rhythm of his mounting fear. The dog, his only companion, is acting strangely too. Its eyes are wide and alert, its body tense, as if ready to pounce or flee at any given moment. Every now and then, the dog growls low in its throat, a primal warning against an unseen threat. The man watches his loyal friend, his fear intensifying with every growl, every bristling of the dog's fur. Suddenly, a strange noise cuts through the silence, a low, guttural sound like a creature in distress. The man's blood runs cold, his breath hitching in his throat. He peeks through a crack in the door, and what he sees next is a sight that will forever be etched in his mind. It's a skinwalker dressed in the skin of his dog, crawling towards him, its movements eerily human. It's a grotesque mockery of his beloved pet, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The sight is so horrifying, so utterly unnatural, that for a moment he is paralyzed with fear. But survival instinct kicks in and he slams the door shut, his heart pounding in his chest. The skinwalker is cut off, but the man knows it's far from over. He is trapped in his own home, with the night full of terror just beyond his door. In a moment of sheer terror, he slams the door shut, cutting off the skinwalker. The night of horror has just begun, and he must prepare for the unthinkable that lies ahead. Thinking he has escaped the horror, the man turns around only to be faced with a new terror. A shadowy figure clings to the ceiling, its shape an abomination of nature. It's a black creature, a grotesque silhouette that seems to absorb the light around it. It's as if the darkness itself has taken on a life of its own, a sinister life that's focused on the man. The creature on the ceiling moves in a way that suggests a perverse mockery of human form. Each movement is accompanied by a chilling sound, like the whisper of 1,000 secrets shared in the dead of night. The room's atmosphere becomes thick with dread, every shadow seeming to twitch with anticipation. The man feels a cold shiver run down his spine, his heart pounding like a drum against his chest. He is paralyzed by fear, yet he can't tear his eyes away from the abomination above him. His mind races, trying to make sense of the impossible scene unfolding before him. But there's no logic here, only the cold, hard reality of his impending doom. The suspense in the room escalates, the silence broken only by the soft, eerie rustling of the creature. It's as if time itself has slowed down, each second dragging on for what feels like an eternity. The man's breath hitches in his throat as the creature begins to move, every muscle in its body coiling like a spring. And then, in an explosion of movement, the creature lunges. It descends from the ceiling like a nightmare sprung to life, its form a blur of darkness and terror. The man can do nothing but watch as the embodiment of his deepest fears hurtles towards him. Just as the creature lunges, a window shatters. The sound of breaking glass echoes through the room, a jarring contrast to the suffocating silence that had held sway just moments before. It's a sound that brings with it a glimmer of hope, a chance for survival in the face of unspeakable horror. In the midst of chaos, an unexpected hero emerges. Our protagonist's loyal companion, perceived initially as a skinwalker, reveals itself as a deviant creature, an entity not bound by the natural laws, possessing an uncanny ability to detect and battle the dark beings that lurk in the shadows of our world. The glass shatters, an explosion of sound and shards. The dog, or should we say, the deviant, lunges into the room through the broken window. It's a sight that defies belief, a scene straight out of a fevered nightmare. The dog, now a creature of raw power and primal instinct, confronts the black entity on the ceiling. The room becomes a battleground, the air thick with tension and fear. The clash between the two creatures is fierce and brutal. The man watches, paralyzed by a mix of terror and awe as his dog battles the shadowy menace. The dog, with its unyielding courage and power, manages to overpower the black creature, driving it back into the darkness from whence it came. The relief that washes over the man is palpable, but it's tinged with a newfound fear and respect for his once ordinary pet. His companion, his savior, is no ordinary dog but a deviant creature, a guardian against the dark entities that infest his world. In the aftermath of the battle, the man realizes his home is no longer safe. The tranquility of his once ordinary life has been shattered, replaced by a chilling reality. A reality that involves creatures of the night and battles waged in the shadows. With newfound respect and fear for his dog, the man decides it's time to move, to hunt these creatures, leaving the audience with a sense of anticipation for their next adventure.